Imam Khalid, thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. I mean, you are in the the epicenter of what's happening. Novel COVID-19 has hit New York very hard. Of course, we in Michigan also have feeling devastated, are also devastated in the situation that you are also in New York. But you can tell us a little bit how was everything and how the Muslim community is quickly.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I mean, people are getting through their days as best as they can. And I think the experiences are varied based off of who you talk to. But the reality is such that there are many people who they cannot afford to leave the city, nor can they afford to not go to work. And they have to make the difficult decision every day to be able to provide food simply for their home, their family, uh, to make something that they're able to even just pay their rent, and Allah make it easy for them. We were running a fundraising drive that ends actually today, uh, to raise funds for people who are in financial difficulty as a result of the coronavirus. Alhamdulillah, we were able to raise about $500,000 that brought support to, I think, about 600 or 700 homes in the country and about 2,500 people so far.
Allah.
But the sheer number of applicants, you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people trying to just get funds from wherever they can. And the coming months are going to be much harder for a lot of different people, especially those who don't have health insurance, adequate, resources to access. And it's not that they will be able to just kind of return or make ends meet. Even where they go to get food from sites to pick up food, they risk getting the kind of illness every time they leave their home. And the challenge, especially, for the Muslim community here as well, is that we're all kind of embedded and integrated into it. But you all know better than I do that our tradition teaches us to care for our neighbors, right? And the neighbor in our tradition, is 40 homes to the right and 40 homes to the left and 40 in front of you and 40 behind you. And I think right now is the time where we as Muslims really live our Islam, and we live with a real faith and trust in Allah that his promise is true. What we give now will not decrease what it is that we have for ourselves. There's always enough for someone, right? A meal for one is enough for two. A meal for two is enough for four. And we change a little bit of some of what we do with real consciousness that even if it's not our reality, that we bring ease to someone in this moment of distress, even if we have to think about it for ourselves. You want to carry those people's du'as with you when you stand in front of Allah. And I could tell you honestly, I mean, I've met people who I don't know, like what it is that they're made of, that they're putting themselves at such harm every day. People in our community, they are doctors, nurses, residents, and they're at a place now where every one of them consistently says that every day just one of their unique patients is passing away as the days go by. And still they go to try to help, some wearing the same face mask for a week and a half at a time, some, just doing whatever it is that they can, and they're just fully exhausted. And, these are the people that Allah talks about and tells us about, people who have just, real like mercy, real compassion, that they're putting themselves at risk for others. And you just wonder, like, what is it that they're made of, and how do I get a little bit of that inside of me so that I can maybe go and do some of those things. And I think the beauty of the gift of Islam at this point is that we know that this is not an ends, but it's a means to something. But it's not meant to render indifference. It's meant to render movement and mobilization, that even when the world is coming to an end and you're going to plant the seed, then you plant the seed, right? It's what we're taught. And so everybody gets up and does something without even having to leave your home. You just push buttons and somebody else will do it for you. It'll go a long way in really helping others get through this. And I'll say it, and I know I'm talking a lot, but it's not the time to think about it as any other reason. But if it's not Muslims who are doing right for everybody right now, who else would be doing it? And if we're not feeling compelled and moved, then thinking really deeply, like, what is the state of our Islam individually, and what is it that it's bringing us to actually do? Uh, and despite that, there's still people who are, doing kind of the shrouding of the bodies. They're putting themselves where they need to. They're, dropping off the groceries, and Allah preserve them and make things easy for all of them and for all of us. That, they're setting for us, I think, the standard of what humans can actually do in terms of having aspirations of being people of like real ihsan.
Sheikh Imam Khalid, I don't have words to thank you for what you're doing in New York. You are the example for the entire world, not only America, but we are watching New York very carefully. Everyone is watching New York, from the White House to the Muslim communities, watching what's happening in New York and the way New York will respond. I'm sure the rest of the country will respond, because you guys are one of the first states to get it so hard. The way you guys are, the highest death toll. But Imam Khalid, like you said, the way as a chaplain, as a leader of the community in New York, you've been a great example, a great encouragement to all of us. May Allah bless you. May Allah preserve you. And I know that you've been holding back your tears so much. Each drop of tear that came out, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nourish gardens and gardens of Jannah and paradise for you. And flow rivers for you that are just there for you and your family to drink in these difficult times that everyone is going through. And Imam Khalid, everything you said, I know you've heard it yourself multiple times. You've echoed it today with us tonight. Trust me, we're all inspired, and keep on crying. I swear, don't hold them back, because Allah is answering those tears. And that pain is real, Imam Khalid, and that's a sign of your strength. It's a sign of how much your heart is bleeding and crying for the people. It's not just Muslims, also non-Muslims. And every time we hear you speak, we can hear that in your voice. We hear that crack in your voice. We hear the years of service that you've been doing that you were the chaplain for NYPD, and you've been the advisors for many people at high profile positions. And at the same time, you've been serving at the lowest places where no one wants to go. You've been giving them counsel and comfort. And in these difficult moments, Imam Khalid, you are the example, and you will continue to lead. Your family will continue to be a great example. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you strength, preserve you, protect you. And I know I know it's late, but if there's one story that we can all be inspired by, a situation that you experienced in New York, can you please, if you don't feel compelled, please go ahead and share it with us, because our listeners on YouTube, on Zoom, will all be inspired, because truly we haven't, you're feeling it. There are many people who haven't felt it. I'm not saying they should be guilty of not feeling it, but like, what is happening on the ground cannot be cannot be experienced for the people like us who are in our basement.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of testimonials from people who have received support and funds. We have a lot of testimonials that, of individuals who have said that if not for what it is that they're getting, and it's not a lot, we're not giving people like $10,000, we're giving them grants of $250 to like $1,000, right? And they're just so grateful to get some of those. And you can find some of these things online to read in more detail. But where and how it's bringing about real change, it's making a big difference. I could pull out like dozens of examples of individuals. We have brothers here who have turned their restaurants into entire food distribution centers. They're walking into hospitals, giving 50 meals at a time to one set of staff, another set of staff. Groups of people have come to set up entire gourmet kitchens where they're feeding thousands of people in a day. They're walking into places where, it's like so ajib, right? That it doesn't take that much light to really push away darkness. And when you're running on empty, and you're running on sheer exhaustion. You've seen people like pass in front of you. You know, you can't understand how you live in a country that has billions of dollars to build missiles and weapons and all this kind of stuff, but somehow does not have like masks and gloves for, you know, hospital workers. And somebody just walks in with a plate of food and says, "We made this for you. You know, thank you for doing what you're doing." In and of itself, it just revitalizes like an entire spirit. You know, there's a doctor who was running on so like little, and the patients alone having their difficulty, their loved ones can't see them. Like you can't go and, you know, see, let alone praying over someone after they've passed away and not being allowed to do that. You can't even be with your loved ones when they're taking their last breaths. You can't go. And, you know, the number of doctors I've spoken to who have said that my heart was just tired and I felt so bitter and resentful and angry. And, you know, family members would say to me when I've told them that, please, can you just say something to our loved one as they're passing away? And the doctors would get angry from it. And they would say things, you know, like, just go and, you know, say our names in their ears or tell them that we love them. And one doctor, I kid you not, he said that I was on the phone with somebody telling them that their mother is going to pass away. And they said, can you just please bring the phone close to their ear so that I can recite a dua to them? And the doctor was so agitated and said that, you know, I went ahead with it, but it made me so frustrated. And I put the phone and the speaker there, and I heard the prayer as this person is making it, and everything in my heart just melted. And it reminded me why I'm doing what I'm doing and why it's important to still get it done. And that's what I say. It's really easy to point a finger and say somebody's not doing something that they should, that, you know, the president's an idiot and these guys are racist and they don't care about this. That doesn't then explain, though, why we don't do what we can do. And if these guys are not going to get done what they can get done, and we have to be the ones that go and move forward to change it, then we have to change it. And if that means that Allah is showing us about ourselves right now and revealing to us a little bit about where we're at, we can take that as a revelation to like live the verse that says, you know, indeed Allah is not going to change this condition for us until we start to change ourselves. And that means you can still be good, right? You're beautiful, but a good person can always be better. And we just strive and we move forward and we do what it is that we're supposed to do. And it's little things that are giving these people energy and strength, right? Like for the first time in my life, you know, not even to be funny, I'm like, thank God, like so many people encourage their kids to be doctors even when they don't want to. You know,
Yeah.
I wish like I became a doctor. Like I wish, because I know Allah has made me with like the willingness to put myself in the face of death. And I'm never been like more desirous of having like the knowledge of a medical professional, because I know like I would stand with every single person who is sick. But Allah gave it to those who are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're living like what like real husn is, you know. And that's what it comes down to. Ours is not a deen that's meant to be self-serving or egocentric. There's nothing like nafsi that's going to get us into Jannah, right? It's like gotta be about something that's bigger than the self. And this is the moment, like I'm saying to all of you again, out of real love, Allah has given us opportunity to really shine and to affirm like what it is that guides us and what our values are and how that's going to find itself in our decisions. And you don't want to leave that behind. Like go out, you know, you don't have to leave your house, right? Like, but you can still do like a lot of khair right now, you know what I mean, and get it done. And you know, I pray that like other cities are not impacted the ways that our city has been. But you'd want to like anticipate and be ready. And then in these moments, start to think too, that our preparation is not just for the coming days, but where you all are at in whatever part of the country that you're in, sitting down and thinking how your skills, your wealth, your credentials, your networks are going to build what is going to be necessary for people 3 months from now, 5 months from now, right? And not in a way that is debilitating or creates paralysis, but with a sense of hope that says, even if I could change one person's life, I can impact one heart, that's going to make all the difference. Because, like, what do you think is going to happen for the Rohingya who are right now fleeing still genocide, or our Uyghur brothers and sisters who are in China, or all these migrant workers who are sitting in India right now trying to figure out how to get home, you know, in masses? What do you think are happening to the people in Gaza who literally are in an open air prison prior to this, let alone what's happening in it in these days? And in the days that come, where our economy is going to try to bounce back, like, these nations are not going to take months to bounce back. They're going to take years to bounce back, right? And where and how, you know, we have opportunity to think now, why did Allah give you the skills that he gave to you? And where you can sit and have the audacity and boldness to say to the people in your community, let's go build something that we know people will need a few months from now. And let's do it with foresight, so that our looking ahead is going to embed within us, in our psyche, a deeper foresight that has us look towards, like, the world beyond this one. And that's always our motivation and always our goal. And if you're at home right now, uh, get up in the middle of the night and pray. Like, make dua to Allah in those blessed hours. Be on top of, like, all of your fara'id. Pray your sunnahs. Make dua, like, at the conclusion of it. Be in spheres where you don't see your ritual and practice just for you, right? But how even in those moments, you are leveraging it to make dua for all of these other people who are going to be hurting in a lot of different ways. And the dunya is there to make us pretend like it's not there, to distract us from all of it. And it's all, like, evident, right? Like, Sheikh, you're in Flint. What do you think is happening to the people of Flint? The country, like, just even in the last couple of years, could care less if the people there had even clean water to drink. And what are those people going to be going through now in the coming months as factories shut down and companies shut down and people just don't have, like, any source of income or sustenance, you know? But that's where, like, we just have to be Muslim and remember, like, who our teacher is, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what it is that we have capacity to get done and how we have very little. I think it's a great blessing that Ramadan comes in the middle of all of this, because Ramadan teaches us that we don't really need to consume so much to kind of live our life. And it takes very little to satiate, like, parts of ourselves. And as we get acquainted to that and we see that we don't need, like, all of these things, it'll enable us to have that much more to give to others.
Sheikh Imam, may Allah bless you. And everything that you've said is inspiration and a means of strength for us. You know, you're wishing to be a doctor, and you know, and you at this time, but we know that there are hundreds and thousands of people in the medical field who are inspired by you, Muslims and non-Muslims, who might not have the knowledge that you have, but you are like the Khalid bin Walid. You know, he said, I wish I had memorized more Quran, you know, but I was too busy serving on the front line, you know, and he didn't memorize much, but he was serving a need at that time. And but I always say there's never a martyr except that they were inspired by Khalid bin Walid. You know, he did his position, he did what he had to do, and you're doing what you're doing, Imam. You know, I have not seen a fraction on the ground of what you have witnessed, but honestly, the last 20 minutes of what you've just shared with us has really, really impacted me personally. And I'm sure everyone that is listening and going to listen in the future, they're all going to be inspired and impacted. And I know the children, the adults, the parents, all are going to take a message from this. And I'm telling you, there's not an ear that is not going to take a lesson from this. There's not a heart that won't skip a beat because of what you've been sharing with us. And may Allah bless you. May Allah support you. May Allah give you strength. If you could share the link to the campaign that you have helping those who are in need and those families who have been devastated. If you can share that launch good or whatever campaign that you have, so we can also share within our circle on Miftaah. But Imam, we're with you. We're praying for you. We're praying for ourselves. We're praying for the entire ummah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept every word that you said, every prayer that you made, and every drop of tear that you shed, and every drop of tear that you held, in public. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immensely grow your status in this dunya and akhirah. Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah, Imam. For those that are wondering, wanting to see Imam Khalid again, inshallah, hopefully we'll be seeing him more in Ramadan, um, with Miftaah through his NYU page and wherever else you can find him.
Imam, you gotta stay safe, man. You gotta stay safe. Are you wearing a mask? Are you quarantined? What's going on? Because you're getting exposed. How are you managing this at home?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Alhamdulillah.
I don't have to worry.
If you
Yeah.
Walid,
You look like someone that needs to be worried about, but I'm sure you're ready to give your life. But I'm like, honestly, you have the family, and are you wearing a mask when you go out? You have the
Yeah, I
beard.
mean, we have different things here that we're good on those ends. Alhamdulillah.
All those precautionary things are fine.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Imam,
Big dua that,
may Allah
things
bless
work.
you. May Allah keep you.
Imam, Jazakallah khair for all those that stayed throughout the day. Inshallah, for those that are wondering when the next program will be, please stay in touch with our website. Inshallah, we'll give you updates. And I apologize for having to go over for more than an hour, but we love you for being here. Jazakallah khair. Imam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.